computer, there's usually a button where it will say transfer to YouTube or some shit. Perhaps that's for my school only. Pop, 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 pop.
Oh, okay. I got it on YouTube. So,
Resume.
Kyle, are you
Stop
ready?
recording. I'm trying to.
Streaming.
Is this
Start
live
recording.
or is this like?
Uh, I mean, I think.
Or is this going to be like recorded later and then it's just to watch later?
No, this is actually live.
Oh, so you'll be able to see when people join in on your YouTube feed and shit.
Yeah, but we're on now.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, it
Well,
started.
thanks for the fucking heads up, dude.
Yeah.
My God,
I
we are
guess we'll-
professionals.
yeah. It started. I mean, I don't have that many screens up, so I don't know. I guess I could open my iPad. But hey everybody, welcome to the the fifth inaugural Dutch in Denver podcast. I've done this before. I've always had a guest or a co-host. We're not doing that this time. It's going to be just me, except for today. You're in a special treat. Blip's with us, but we're gonna do this right this time. I'm dedicated now. Actually, I'm just bored. But yeah,
That's
we're
what does
ready.
it.
We're ready to take this into the stratosphere, and eventually, I'm gonna have my own live radio show that you people are gonna have to listen to me. I mean, every day of the week. I'm shooting for that noon to 3 o'clock spot because that's probably when I'll be the most sober, which is probably best for everybody. But so hey, I tell you what, this is one of my best friends, Blip. His name's Blippo. We call him Blip. We call him many other things. Some of them probably shouldn't be said out loud. But today we have a litany of garbage to talk about because, as you know, unless you've been living under a fucking rock, the world is coming to an end. Today we're going to discuss whose fault it is, actually. I think it's one party's fault. Kyle thinks it's somebody else's. It'll probably just come down to it's like space aliens. But other than that, we're kind of just... So the format of this is just... We're going to talk about whatever I want to talk about because it is my show. And sometimes we'll have some guests. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes I'll be super drunk. Sometimes I'll be less drunk. But with that, let's get into it. Kyle, or Blip, how you doing today, buddy?
That is one of the many names that I go by. Is Kyle, also known as Blippo. What is up,
Shitwagon.
Dutch? Thank you for the lovely introduction. I thought you were gonna go with Kyle from South
Keel.
Park.
Yeah.
Or Keel. Yeah, that was the one I was leaning on.
I'm not fat like Cartman, so I can't do that quite. I mean, I'm not
thank you
as fat.
for definitely having me. For those who don't know or forgot, it's been, I don't know, we haven't done it since the last Olympics. Yes, I am out here in LA. You are in Denver, hence the name of the podcast.
Yeah, hence Dutch in Denver. It'd be kind of fucked up if I was like Dutch in Montana.
Yeah.
Like some kind of weirdo.
So, or like Hannah Monte. You could be like a Disney spinoff, but it's just with you. So definitely glad to be here. We go back a long way, at least I'd say 10 years at this point.
It's got to be longer than 10, dude. When did, what was it? Halo? No.
3? Halo COD 4? Halo, nah,
It's
COD
got to be.
4,
We met on Xbox, by the way. Kyle's like 11, and I just turned 22. So we're both spring chickens.
Pretty much. But you guys get the LA perspective. We can talk about everything from what COVID's like out here to what it's like over there. It is like Guantanamo Bay times 10 in California. No one's allowed to move. You can't leave your house. If Emperor Newsom and Goebbels Garcetti, the mayor, says you can't do it, you can't do it. It's all fucked up. It's Mad Max pretty soon. And yeah, so we're actually, as you said, a whole litany of problems. Let's
You know, it's exactly like that here in Commie, Colorado. Or, I'm sorry, Commie-rado. And you live in California.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just as bad here, except, no, not, it's absolutely the same. our Emperor Polis gets up there and says, hey, there's no scientific evidence for any of this, but I tell you guys what, this is what we're going to do. I want you to bend over and I want you to grab your ankles. Oh, no, wait a minute, sorry. Drop your drawers and then bend over and grab your ankles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hammer here. Sorry, I don't have a hammer. And I'm going to shove it up your ass sideways. And you're going to like it. That's basically how COVID has gone in Colorado. We can get into that, actually, because I have a lot of issues with it.
Okay, so at the time of this, we've had Jesus, a good thing nothing major happened, but let's get into it. We've had a possible insurrection. We had Capitol riots.
It's not an insurrection.
We'll get into it, okay, but Trump is almost out the door. Today's the 17th, 20th. We'll talk about what we think might happen. We got everything from COVID to how the country's changing, parties changing, all that stuff. So where do you want to start?
Well, obviously the Capitol. You said insurrection. So do you want to go with the definition of insurrection?
I was going to say, what is
your definition? Do you just want to make things up?
What is your definition of insurrection?
Let's start with a more general thing. Do you not remember all summer when the left... all right, let's draw us a picture here, folks. I'm on the right as in correct, and Kyle's on the left as in wrong. That's kind of like our political decisiveness. Kyle's more of like a Kennedy Democrat, though, and eventually he'll be a Reagan Republican, and we'll be all good. But that's where we stand. So we have very opposing views. Unlike the rest of you, though, we don't hate each other because of it. It's actually being an adult is part of being friends with people you disagree with, and you discuss ideas, and you have that open thing, like, oh man, where is it? There was this document, okay, and like the first 10 bullet points of this document are important. What was it called? It's the Bill of something. I can't remember. I've been so censored. So the Bill of something gave us this right to like free ideas exchanging. I got the First Amendment and free speech. Okay, so that's
we should talk about, because we also have one more topic, which is the President of the United States getting permabanned, essentially, and freedom of speech going off of that. Let me hop into that.
Okay, wait a minute. No, let's stick with the Capitol. Let's stick with the Capitol. So first of all, it's not insurrection. And my point was, do you not remember this entire summer when Antifa and Black Lives Matter, capital BLM, because those are different. It's an important distinction. If you don't know that distinction, hop on the Google and figure out yourself. This is not an educational.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but there's Black Lives Matter, capital BLM, and lowercase. Lowercase is like the movement. BLM's an actual corporation that hates America. You can Google it, go to their website. It shows you they want to destroy like the nuclear family, all that stuff. So what it actually is when these guys decided to riot for, I'm pretty sure, a year. Portland's a great example. Everybody seemed kind of okay with that. Don't you remember Don Lemon up there and Cavuto, all those nerds on CNN up there, like, oh, they are exercising their First Amendment free speech. Oh, but Dutch, they ruined the Capitol. It's federal property. Antifa actually ruined federal courthouses too. Shocker. And we didn't hear a word from anybody on the left that condemned them at all. They actually condoned it. There's a whole montage of these people going after them, like, if you see them in restaurants and blah, 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 you ought to attack them and get in their face. That's inciting violence. Directly saying, hey, if you see a Trump supporter, get in their face and cause a problem. Now, I challenge you, and I'll challenge anybody who listens to this, all 6 of you. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I'll give you $100 if you can find one conservative public figure who got up and's like, hey man, we need to go kill us some liberals. We need to punch them in the face. We need to get in their way. We need to do all these horrible things to them. All right? Let's go whip some ass. If you find that, a public figure, now you'll find some redneck who said that, that's fine. But if you find one public figure, like Maxine Waters, when she got up there and started screaming about getting in people's faces and shit, or, Kathy Griffin wanted to kill the president. I think other people were wondering where's a Hollywood actor to assassinate him. So all these calls to violence for the left that went completely unchecked. And as soon as the right stands up and says, hey man, fuck you, we've had enough, everybody's like, oh my god, it's the end of days. These people are sedition, resurrection. Oh my god, insurrection. I feared for my life sitting here in CNN. So, Kyle, that's my first question to you. Explain to me the difference between the riots that went on for a year, almost 4 years, and then the Capitol. How is any of that different?
All right, so I will first start by saying that we do have some common ground here. I'm all for someone's right to protest, even if I
Peacefully
don't think your cause is great, even if I don't personally agree with it. I think if you respectfully protest, it's protest. The rioting,
peacefully.
which out here in LA, big city, I bear witness to it.
Were you part of those riots?
Everybody else. I was not. I was home.
Oh, okay.
I was not going out. Here's the other thing. They said that COVID, do not be in large groups whatsoever. Do not do anything. And then the riots happened, and they said, oh, okay, well, this is fine. And there was this contradiction with that as well. Like, okay, you're allowed to go out in public if it's for this one specific purpose. And anything else, no, you can't do that either. So I have my complaint with that.
But do you not know that COVID is a super disease or virus, that it actually knows who to attack or not? So if you're rioting, you're immune. Also, if you have, 5 or less, you're totally immune. But once that 6th person shows up, you guys are all fucking dead. Also, it only comes out after 10 p.m. Like after all the bars close, it's gone. It's out. It's killing everyone. But before that, it's gone. Don't worry about that.
I had no idea about that.
But
now that
you
I know,
still
it's much better.
Answer the question.
So go to your question.
What's the difference between the Capitol protest and the summer of protests?
I will give some context to it. I did not ever condone the burning of the businesses, the looting and stealing of stuff.
We didn't do any of that. That was your team.
I know. What I'm saying is that all that. So I will agree that was not. That to me was just out of hand, and they really should have stopped that. And what's happening in Portland, where they literally just gave up parts of the city.
They got like Chaz or whatever.
Yours. Yeah, it's just like,
do whatever you want.
There is something to be said about this. All started because of the whole, of course, what happens with the killing of George Floyd and stuff. And listen, we can have a whole discussion about cops. Yes, there needs to be reform. Yes, we got to talk about reallocating parts of the budget, not just slashing it and get the problem solved. So I will say this, the rioting, at first it started as a protest, and I'm cool with that. The rioting and the burning of stuff and getting in people's faces and wanting people to kneel and just apologize constantly. People have done nothing. And to me, it was absolutely heinous. The difference is, and this is where I come in with the insurrection, Trump lost the election, does not concede the election, and then his supporters, not all of them, but the ones who were there, literally were there to kill Mike Pence, kill congressmen, pretty much overthrow the government. And I honestly believe, had it happened, which there were pipe bombs, we know this now, some had guns and ammo, I don't know why they didn't bring it in, but that was the plan. The overthrowing of the government would have made Trump pretty much a quasi-dictator. He would have said, okay, Congress is now gone. They're all dead. I now have to stay in. I think the difference was the burning of the cities was bad. But what the Capitol thing, which erupted into this mass riot inside,
do you actually think they went there to assassinate congressmen and women?
And publicly said it. They found
who's they?
Memo statements. The FBI who investigated it, and everyone else, Department of Justice, they actually looked into some of these people who their photos are now being identified. Some of them had manifestos. Some of them were saying, they brought lynch ropes. They hung a rope outside to overthrow the entire government because your candidate lost.
I found something on the Twitter today, which is the difference of reporting, like CNN, because CNN's not a source. But one news article says that they were there to assassinate people, and the next news article says there was no evidence of an assassination motive. So
they were literally chanting "Kill Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." Like
I haven't seen that.
Where's Nancy
Okay,
Pelosi? Bring
first of
her
all,
out here. I mean,
Mike's.
they,
Oh
they
yeah,
brought pipe
bring Nancy
bombs.
out. Yeah.
Okay,
Honestly,
but
you
they
know what I
brought
think
pipe
we should have
bombs.
done?
They brought pipe bombs. They brought guns.
I don't say kill him, but I think it didn't go far enough. If you guys are gonna mount an quote insurrection, get in there, grab those guys, and toss them the fuck out. Literally throw them out and show them that you're done with them. I don't think that was it. I think it was a bunch of, not a bunch. I think it was a few angry whack jobs that were in there. They weren't going to kill anybody. They didn't bring guns into the Capitol. They didn't do any of that stuff. I
They
think
didn't bring it, but they
again,
did have it. They
they're
did
being.
have pipe
This is
bombs and
what's
guns.
being blown out of proportion. This is what CNN, MSN, PMS, NBC, all these guys are telling you is that this is what they were there for. But there's not actually any evidence because I'm pretty sure trying to assassinate a congressman is a federal crime. And when that's brought to court, I'll change my tune. But until those charges are filed, I don't accept that. I don't think that's what they were there for. I think they were angry, just like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Except the only difference between that was they went after their actual source of anger. They were mad at Congress. They were mad at the House. So they went and they kicked those guys' ass. Antifa was mad at who fucking knows. And they decided, hey, man, I'm going to burn my neighbor's restaurant down because of that is how I get social justice. That's the difference.
Do you think burning down of cities across the nation, which was bad, do you think that possibly overthrowing the government, especially during this
It would have
time,
never happened.
the transition of power?
That's nonsense.
But
if you think that
it's
it was
been reported that they brought pipe
by
bombs
who?
into the DNC conventions.
And
They
the
actually, some of them
RNC,
had
you
guns.
forgot they were at the RNC too.
Both. I know. Listen, I think here's what I'll say. I think the appeal of Trump, quite honestly, to half the nation, because half did vote for him, is that Trump really doesn't give a shit about. He hates both parties.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where a lot of Americans have tapped it. Half the nation just said, yeah, you know what? I really hate both parties. This guy hates both. And that's his thing. I think he's just like, you know, the breeze of the day. The wind blows this way and he hates this person. And then he'll condone that. And then he'll also hate that the next day. And I think a lot of Americans just look into that and they say, okay, well, Trump, yeah, I'm angry. He's angry. He hates both parties. I hate both parties. I'm tired of it. I think that played a role into this Washington, D.C. I'll call it an insurrection. I think it's an insurrection that they tried to do and failed. But I think that's where it stems, just like this anger that's been bubbling for God knows how long. Long before Trump, I would say even before Obama, even before all that, this idea that both parties have just totally abandoned the vast majority of people. And sooner or later this was going to happen.
I think Trump was the one that incited it more. And no, Trump didn't do it. Let's be clear about that. Trump didn't incite any violence. If you read his speech, which I've read it and listened to it, nowhere does he incite any violence that says, hey, go attack the Capitol. That was all on their own.
You know what's funny about this is because Trump.
Are you wearing a Tom and Jerry shirt?
This is a Tom and Jerry shirt.
How fucking old are you?
Tom and Jerry. You know what?
11. That's right.
And I like T-shirts. Yeah. What can I say? But the funniest thing is that Trump, as a president, the one thing you either really love or hate about him is that he really does speak his mind. There is no subtext.
Oh, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he just says whatever he wants.
But I know I shouldn't have found humor in this because it was such a pivotal moment. But I found humor in the worst of ways. He's up there with his people, right? And he's for the first time, he's trying to be subtle. He's saying, you gotta take your country back. You can't do it through weakness. You have to show strength. You gotta be strong. So that's not insurrection. I mean, that's not inciting violence, but it's almost like a wink, wink. And then the one person in American politics less subtle than Trump, Giuliani, just grabs the mic and he's like, let's have trial by combat. And just like, even Trump, if you look at that video, looks at Giuliani like, oh my God, what the fuck did this guy just say? I mean, it's like the one dude that was less subtle.
I mean,
just literally just said it. Let's start trial by combat.
Do we get to pick our combatant?
I mean, is Giuliani a fighter? I'm sure when that guy was at his peak of strength, I could probably kick his ass. Everybody could.
I don't know, dude. He's a New York. He could be a New York mob boss. He probably would have hit you in the teeth with some brass knuckles. You wouldn't even see it coming.
Giuliani is 4'11", wearing high heels, and I'm pretty sure at his best, when he was in his prime, young, there's not a single congressman he could beat up. Is there a congressman you think Giuliani could have beaten up
All
in
of
a
them.
fist fight? Giuliani? You really? In a
Except
fist
maybe the
fight?
guy who doesn't have any legs.
Do we have him with no legs?
Yeah, he's a veteran and he has no legs. And God bless him. Seriously, thank you, veterans. But wear pants, dude.
I'll put
Like-
my money on.
No, he always wears shorts. He wears like a blazer and shorts with a shirt and tie. Which,
I'll put my money on the veteran. He's seen
well, yeah,
the
that's what I'm saying. He
combat.
could do it. Joe Biden used to be in the Senate and all that. You think Biden could take him?
Biden on Giuliani in a fist fight? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think Biden could.
You think Biden
think-
could now? Granted,
Still,
Biden
I
doesn't
think
know
so.
where he's at any day of the week.
I can't think of any congressman that would lose in a fist fight to Giuliani.
So this is another thing we're going to do on this podcast is every time we record, we're going to, maybe not today because I don't have the sound cut and I haven't figured that out yet. But we're going to do moments of Biden where the old man riddled with dementia gets up there and says stupid things. And I don't mean like dumb things like Trump says. I mean like when he calls him a one-horse pony. Let's see, when Biden a woman instead of amen. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you guys understand that amen does not mean like a article, man, noun?
Okay, so this goes
Amen
back to,
means I believe in a different language.
So this goes back to what we did earlier with our introduction when you said Kenny Democrat. Now I'm young, I'm 26, and people are probably wondering how the fuck are you like you're not even from that time. I long for the days the Democrats had common sense when it came to social issues, and yes, you would push for progressive stuff, but you didn't just abandon to the sole
Logic.
will of logic, and then the sole will of just whoever's has the biggest capital letters on Twitter. So it's this thing where the woke stuff, the SJW stuff. I'm all for social justice. I'm all for.
Why are you for social justice? Why do you
As
deserve
far as-
anything I don't because you're black?
No, as far as underrepresented groups who have gotten the short end of the stick.
Of
for
course
the
you're
longest time.
underrepresented. You make up a small percentage of the population. You should not be represented equally. I'm sorry. You make
But
up.
you should be
like,
represented. Okay, fine, but then you should be represented.
you are represented. I'm affirmative action.
But I feel like it's different. Like this is what happened with the George Floyd thing. Is that listen, I've never heard stories of white guys. I'm sure it happens, and I know there are stats to prove this. But the level of
Then why would you say this?
ferociousness.
I know where you're
Because
going.
I would say.
Do you know
the
how many
level of
unarmed black men
ferociousness-
are shot by cops a year? Like unarmed, totally like innocent. Hey, don't shoot me.
It's the level of ferociousness.
No,
that
how
comes
many?
with it that never happens when it happens to
How many?
white people.
How many unarmed black men a year?
I have no idea.
It's less than 10. It's actually 6. 6 a year. 6. 6. How many people live in this country? A fuckload. I think we're
320
like,
million? Something?
yeah, a lot. Hundreds of millions. And 6. 6 a year. Do you know how many unarmed white people get gunned down by cops?
Probably
More than 6. But
Probably
since
much
you guys are
more.
20% of the population. Oh, yeah, Kyle's half black. So don't hold that against
Oh
him.
yeah. What's that?
So this is
Represent, son.
a multiracial podcast. So if you're a sponsor, you should sponsor us.
You got your diversity quota, son.
Yeah,
As of today.
Oh yeah.
You found the whitest black dude you could possibly get. Just plug me
Hey,
in.
don't shine any light on that. Let's just focus on the half black thing, okay?
Okay, but hold up. Going back to the main point, though, yes, the fact this really started, I would say. I remember when I was in high school, just to show you my age, I was a junior. I want to say it's 2011, and it was the first time in my life I was in an English class, and the teacher.
Wait, it was the
said,
first
"We
time in your
cannot-"
life you were in an English class?
No,
That
no, it
seems
was the
about
first
right
time-
for LA.
Yeah. It was fun.
In high
it was
school.
The first time
Welcome
in
to
my life-
English.
First time in my life, I was in English class when the teacher said, "We cannot read Huckleberry Finn," and we wondered why. It's a great American classic. It's Mark Twain, and they said it has the N-word in it. And I said, "Well, that's the point of the book, and it's supposed to represent that time." And that's when it first started clicking in my brain. Like, is there really a group of people out there that are offended? I understand the N-word is a bad word. No one's going to deny that. But in its proper context, like that book, it makes perfect sense. And it just kind of snowballed. And so now we're at this point where, you can't call someone obese because that's insulting. It's now person of size. You can't.
I'm sorry, it's what?
Is racist. Person of size.
You can't call them fat anymore?
I guess fat is so cool. You can't, like, even Weight Watchers, a TV show, it's now Watchers. They took out Weight Watchers because, it offended people who
So
are big.
the name of Weight Watchers now is just Watchers?
I think it's WW, but it's called Watchers. Yeah.
That seems like something a stalker would like that. You're going to have, like, guys lined up to look at little kids in there and be like, I'm here to watch. What are we watching? Okay.
But, I mean, this has gotten to the point where, like, the Lucky Charms Irish Leprechaun, who I grew up watching the commercials and ate Lucky Charms, so that's racist because, it offends Irish. Where are all these people? This just exploded, I'd say, the last 10 years, where just every little thing has to be looked at from a racial lens. And yes, we have problems in America with race and all of that. I get it. But, who was out here really truly triggered that you go into the supermarket, you see the cereal boxes, there's an Irish leprechaun on the box, and the whole world needs to stop for this. That is just one example. Weight Watchers, another example. Even things like identifying your pronouns.
Washington football team. You're telling me
Washington football team. Like having to
for the record
your pronouns, which is just weird to me. Like if you cannot look at me and just see that I'm a man, like you have to ask me in advance, like what should I call you? What's your pronoun? Is it he, him? What would you like? It's like, dude, like what? How did we get to that point where it's gone down that kind of path?
I can tell you, it's identity politics, and since the left can't get votes based on merit, like, hey, this is what we believe, and if you believe the same, you should vote with us. They have now said, okay, white people are horrible, and specifically white men are horrible, and we should all vote against them. And if you don't think they're horrible, here, I'll tell you why they're horrible. They called you the N-word. Blackie. So, and lady, you're fucked too, because Billy Bob stole your job. And Pedro, you're fucked too, because they want to build a wall so you can't come over. And little confused 8-year-old boy who thinks you're a girl and your parents are stupid, you're in trouble too. So we're going to help you, and eventually you can be on our side. It's identity politics, and it's not enough people got their ass kicked when they were little, and that's the whole problem. You remember that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Yeah, that's still, that rings true. This is
also another piece of common ground, I will admit, is that this used to be a very liberal thing, this idea of the freedom of speech, that even if it's unpopular speech, you have to support the idea of it. You don't have to, be in love with it. But now we're at the point where if you disagree, you're just completely censored. This was never a Democrat thing before. This was never a liberal thing. You cannot
the cancel culture thing is nuts.
I like freedom of speech only if I agree with it. Yeah, that was never part of the Democrat Party. That never used to be that. That never used to be the liberal thing either. The whole idea of being liberalism to libertarian, the concept of that is freedom of speech is freedom of speech. Even if you disagree with it, even if you don't like the opposing view, they have the right to say it. You cannot just cancel someone because you don't like what they say or it offends you. That's the biggest thing that I really hate about my party today, is that they just totally abandon that. And that's it. Let me ask you something, because it's called Denver, Dutch in Denver, but you don't actually live in Denver, right? So you're around it.
Yeah.
But when you talk to people that what are the main issues that they talk about? Is it the economy? Is it immigration? What is the number one thing you would say? Just eye tests and talking to people.
It depends. I mean, if I talk to my friends on the right, they truly believe that this is the end of our republic, which, I mean, if you look at all great republics, they have about a 250-year lifespan, and we're right there. So that's their greatest concern.
Do you think we can recover? I feel like a lot of the issues we have.
No, I don't think we can. Well, I don't know.
I can give historical context and say
so. The problem is we have stupid people, and let's touch on free speech. So
I'll say stupid on both sides.
oh yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Trump got banned from Twitter. Do you think that's within Twitter's right?
Okay, so here's the thing. Twitter is a private company.
Thank you.
Because they're a private company, yes, they have the power to do that. They have the power to do that. Should they do that?
You're
Again,
a private
if we're
company.
talking about you're a private company, you can't. I think it's a dangerous slip. Going back to what I was just saying.
Oh, it's a
freedom of
very
speech is
slippery
freedom
slope.
of speech. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. And if you want to start censoring people, who should have the power to do that? The people who create the algorithms for what news you get?
Okay,
You
so
want to have an independent.
I gotta interject here.
Is it just Mark Zuckerberg? Like,
A couple
who should
things.
do that?
Your freedom of speech only applies to the government. Okay, Congress shall make no law that impedes your freedom of speech. Congress can't do that. The government cannot. Now, as for a private company, and again, another footnote that I feel like I have to explain this on Twitter more than I ever should. Just because Twitter is a publicly traded company does not mean they're a public company, you fucking morons.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's not
It's a
the case.
private company. And maybe I should change, the terminology I use and say, look, you have the public sector and you have the private sector. So, for instance, Twitter is in the private sector. Yes, it's publicly traded, but it's in the private sector. Now, Twitter can do whatever the fuck they want. If they don't want to let women on Twitter, they should not let women on Twitter. Now, they will lose a huge proportion of customers because they won't have any women. They will also have a bunch of guys who are like, well, that's a stupid rule, so I'm not going to be on Twitter. But that's their right as a private company to do that, and the government shouldn't dictate otherwise. Now, the problem with Twitter is maybe we should look at the antitrust laws that we have in place against these companies. Okay,
Now, I'll say this. Going to
they're
explain it.
monopolies. That is not my problem with Twitter and Facebook. Is not them censoring people. Okay, they can do whatever they want. Now, you cannot be a monopoly in this country, which they are. So the government needs to go after them for that, not for the censoring. But the big problem is they're in cahoots with the left. Like, they're no longer Twitter. They are the left side of our government. They are the Democrat Party. And that's where I think the folly is. You and I have talked about this, and we will still disagree about it. But CNN is not a source. They are an extension of the Democrat Party. By the same token, though, Fox News. Fox News has actually moved to the Democrat Party. But
What?
Newsmax TV.
Oh man, I disagree with that.
Okay, it doesn't matter, but Newsmax TV is an extension of the right. We no longer have journalists in this country. We no longer have anyone that just tells you today is Tuesday. Okay, no one reports the facts anymore. There's no such thing as a non-biased source anymore. The only way to get non-biased information about your government is to literally read the bills, read the laws, read the executive orders, and make your own decision. Biden came out the other day with his stimulus plan, okay? CNN about blew their load all over and thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Newsmax thought that it was the end of the world. They all put their spin on it. The only thing to do is actually read his plan and make your own decision. Should we crank up the debt another $1.5 trillion? That's up to you. You make that decision. Do you think you deserve a $2,000 stimulus check? It's up to you. You make that decision. Do not let CNN, do not let Fox News, do not let PSNBC, do not let any of these sources tell you how to think. And that's what the problem is that they are telling you what is right and wrong. And the majority of the people are saying, oh, yeah, well, yeah, that seems totally right to me. Facebook banned Trump? Oh, of course, because he's a Nazi. Oh, and one more thing about this. Stop calling people Nazis. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. Stop calling people Nazis. You don't know what a Nazi is, okay? And if a modern-day Nazi showed up, it would turn your little pissant world the fuck upside down, okay? It's disrespectful. It completely takes away from the real meaning of the Holocaust and what they did to people, okay? Trump's not a Nazi. Biden's not a Nazi. There are no Nazis anymore, okay? There's nobody executing millions and millions of people in an oven or a gas chamber. That's what a Nazi does. That was what the Nazi Party did. Nobody does that anymore. Trump isn't even close to that. The second thing is, learn what fascism is. Trump is not a fascist, you fucking idiots. If anything, he's a populist, which is completely different.
I will say this. I think
Mussolini was a fascist.
Listen, Trump
learn your history.
ran as a populist. Trump ran as a populist. And that to me is the most fascinating thing, because here you have the rich billionaire from New York who's never been on a farm. He's never talked to rural America before. Yet he convinced millions of them that he is on their side. I find that to me is the most this is one of the topics we were talking about, Trump's legacy. So let's say best case scenario, we get the smooth transition to power and it's been 6 months down the road or 6 months of Biden's president, whatever. How do you think Trump's legacy is going to be looked at moving forward?
Depends on who looks at it.
Well, if you had to give him a letter grade, A to F, all things considered, all of it, what letter grade?
Okay, so if we're only gonna, and we can't say all of it considered, we're just gonna do policies because that's really what matters as a president. Okay,
Well, I would disagree, but okay, fine. Go. Let's start with policies.
You don't think so? I mean, again, what he said on Twitter didn't affect the country at all. It didn't incite any violence unless you're stupid. And it didn't upset anybody unless you're stupid. And if we're going to start taking into account what stupid people think, then yeah, we are fucked. But policy-wise, and I won't be able to find it this quick, but policy-wise, A+. He'll go down as...
A+.
Policy-wise, Trump will go down as the second, third, fourth greatest president we've ever had. Now, he will never actually get that because everybody will be like, but he said this on Twitter. Fuck what he said on Twitter. Do you understand that this man sat down with North Korea and defused that situation? And I'll explain to you how he defused it. By him sitting down with Kim Jong-un. By the way, somebody said he's like 300 pounds. Did you know that?
Kim Jong-un is 300 pounds or Trump?
No, Kim Jong-un.
Oh, I could believe both of them.
The guy's like the guy's like 4'5". I mean, he's got to be as round as a basketball.
I guess he's the one person that gets to eat in all of North Korea.
Okay, but so he sat down with this guy, and what he did is he gave a I won't say false, but he gave credence to North Korea, and he tricked them into thinking that they had a seat at the table. And that's all they've ever wanted is a seat at the table. And once they got that seat at the table, they quit being psychos. Okay? I mean, I really think he diffused... yeah, that looks better with a light. He diffused a very tense situation with North Korea just by sitting down and talking to them. Now, that'll never, ever be discussed. It'll be like, oh, he tweeted this to me. Secondly, or not secondly, just next... The man took on China, and most people don't understand that because, again, they're stupid and they don't understand world economics. But China is on the verge of taking over, and Trump stood up to him and said, hey, man, we're not going to put up with this. We're going to do this thing my way or no way, and it ended up that it was Trump's way. And people are like, oh, tariffs. You don't understand tariffs. You're stupid, and I can't have this discussion with you. Next, moving... The embassy to Israel. Let me break into capital is Israel.
Let me break into this for a quick second. You think he's an A? I'm on the side where I think he's an F. But I do gotta say this to all my Democrat friends, liberal friends. Even if you think he's an F, even presidents you really vehemently hate, you can still find some nuggets of stuff that I agree with. So I think he's one of the worst. But I will say this.
Okay, well, you got to wait a minute. You got to defend that. What policies? And it has to be a policy. It can't be what he did prior to being the president. It can't be what he said. What actual policy did he do that you didn't like?
I will. Okay, I'll go with that. And the first thing was the tax cuts. I'm torn on the tax cuts, but overall, I think it was bad.
And you think that deserves an F?
Well, no, I'm going to keep going. You got a whole list.
Okay, tax cuts.
Okay. So here's why.
Why would you give him an F?
Here's why. Did it help the middle class families? Yes, it did. It gave them a little stimulus. A vast majority went to the very people who really didn't need it. And then on top of that, it added on to the debt, which I remember for 8 years under Obama, if he spent a single penny, it was a problem. And then Mitch McConnell got blackout drunk for 4 years, and the debt's
Cocaine
no longer
Mitch,
a thing.
love him.
Yeah, no longer a thing. The thing is, when Republicans are in charge, like Bush and Trump, can spend as much as they want, and there's never a complaint.
Bush didn't spend that much, though, except on his war.
Which was huge. That was still a couple of trillion. Obama spends a little bit. When Obama spends, it's the biggest thing. Everything has to stop. When Trump spends, which he spent more money than Obama could ever dream of in just 4 years. Granted, part of that was COVID relief. That would have decimated any presidency. It could have been Hillary, could have been anyone.
He would have been reelected except for COVID. I truly believe that. Yeah, absolutely. The economy's in the toilet. There's no way you're getting reelected. I don't care who you are.
But I will say this, watch what happens. I guarantee you.
All right, wait a minute. Wait.
They're going to rediscover the debt.
One more policy. Okay. Give me another policy of Trump that was F.
That policy was bad. I think the travel ban, which, yes, was under Obama.
Which travel ban?
He never implemented it. The Muslim one.
Yeah, that was an Obama thing. Move on.
No. Obama had on paper. He never implemented it. He said, in case of this is what we have.
And why is that a bad thing, though?
Because he decided to put that travel ban literally for no reason. This was long before COVID. This was not we're trying to stop people from coming in who might be infected. This was just a travel ban that he wanted
on crazies.
To gear up his base.
On crazies.
Muslim countries.
Not on all Muslim countries, on crazies.
It was like 20 countries on that list.
Okay, there's not 20 in the Middle East, nerd.
I will also say that as far as foreign policy, pulling out of NATO, which we didn't
pull out of NATO.
He damn near did, and he just pretty much cut all the funding, and he pretty much just
we are the funding. We are the funding.
That's the problem. Yeah, so it pretty much weakens Europe. He pretty much gave Vladimir Putin exactly what he wanted when he did that. Pulling out of Syria, which is what the Russians also wanted.
Oh no, I think we should be out of Syria. That's a great thing.
I understand that, but at the same time, his motive for why was because Vladimir Putin told him so.
No, see, and this is where, all right, so this is going to digress into a horrible, horrible thing that no one's going to be entertained about. And this is one of my points, is that we have
that's foreign policy.
Fundamental difference of facts. And your facts come from CNN and the left, and my facts come from reality. And I hate to tell you, but you still think that Trump was like a Russian spy or something, which he's not. The collusion thing, and we're gonna save this for a separate podcast, and it's mine, so I get to say what I want, and then we're gonna move on. But the Russian collusion is not. It never happened. We wasted 2 years and millions of dollars. Nope, you don't get to talk about this.
It wasn't the news. It wasn't just CNN. Every agency that we had, Department of Justice.
No, none of them said this. No, read the report. He did. There was CIA, no Russian collusion. None.
Everybody confirmed it.
No, if the
agency that we had,
the Russians might have hacked Facebook and put up like ads, okay? But Trump had nothing to do with that. Trump and the Russians, no.
They hacked the voting machines.
No, they didn't.
Specifically.
Oh, okay.
There's reports.
So wait a minute. If they
keep going.
They hacked the voting machines when Trump was elected, they weren't hacked this year?
I'm sorry?
Well, since the Russians hacked the voting machines when Trump was elected in 2016, they didn't do it in 2020.
The FBI and the CIA did confirm that they tried doing it again,
and they headed that off.
They clamped down on it.
Yeah,
but they clamped down.
And there was no voter fraud this year.
No, listen. Okay, going off of that, in every election
There's
that we've
voter
ever
fraud.
had,
Yeah.
there's always voter fraud.
Okay,
We know
so
this.
again, the Trump nonsense was just a fishing expedition, and sorry, Kyle, you're not going to win this one. It's my
We're gonna
podcast.
disagree on that.
Yeah, 'cause you're
Dude,
wrong.
I'm sorry. The Russians definitely played a role.
Well, you know what? I've
think
got an
Trump
inside line to
was-
Putin, and he's sending some Russian bombs to your house right now.
I
I don't
think
actually
he does,
mean that,
man.
YouTube or whoever is watching. Sorry.
Dude, it's gonna be Modern Warfare 2. Remember when they took over the White House and they just completely invaded, like Red Dawn style? Yeah, dude. That's
Actually, every Call of
I
Duty
think-
has been like they hate the Russians.
evil Russians. Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
the Russians
The
are the
Cold War
worst
game.
people, and they even animate them as like the ugliest, the most violent, horrible people in the world. It's absolutely hilarious, and
It's funny, dude.
It-
But they
it
are the
really
go-to
is.
villain for entertainment forever. I mean, we
I-
have the Cold War.
China
forever.
should be,
James
dude.
Bond movies. Everything is always going to be.
China should absolutely be the go-to. Just their accents alone.
Okay, dude. In another video, we will talk about entertainment video games. The reason why Hollywood cannot make China a villain,
Because that's how they get
obvious
all their
reasons.
money.
that's part of it too. Did you hear about the Red Dawn remake that they did? It was a shitty remake. The original, in the remake of Red Dawn, it was supposed to be China that did. That was a script.
Uh-huh.
And they had changed it last minute into North Korea because China said, we are not going to show this and we're not going to support this. So Hollywood, well, that's a whole nother video, but I mean,
Well, that's why the NBA, you
Yeah.
know, does what they do is because, China says, hey, man, you're huge over here and we'll give you billions and billions if you just love us. I mean,
Oh.
granted, we abuse children to make your sneakers, but, yeah, speak
Well,
out
China-
against shit.
China is a communist nation, but they did adapt capitalism, kind of, and that's what really blew them up. That's the weirdest thing. They pretty much took our values, brought it to their country, and they as far as economics, they still have a free. They have a free market. They have enterprise.
They do
but
not
they're
have a
still
free
communist
market.
country.
They
No,
tell
I
you
mean-
they have a free market, but they don't. You can't
It's
have
more free market
communist
than what it was.
capitalism. Like, that's... It,
No,
that's
no,
like...
it's. I feel like it's capitalism that honestly serves the state, which you could say.
well,
is
that's not
capi-
capitalism.
But they trade with capitalist nations. Trading alone, just automatically, you're in free trade. You're in.
Well, yeah, but
capitalism.
no, you're not in free trade because, I mean, Cuba would have traded with capitalist nations if Kennedy hadn't put the embargo on him. Okay, so that doesn't automatically make you capitalist.
No, I think they would have traded with other communist
They
nations.
did.
That's I know, but would they have traded with capitalists? Well, who knows? I
They
mean, this is
did. They traded with
1960s.
everyone but us. Are we the only capitalist country? Christ, I'm getting drunk.
I mean, would they? I don't know. Who knows? What I will say is this: going off of what you think, we talked about. So Joe Biden, Democrat Senate, Democrat House. What is the big fear? Because you have a lot of Republican friends. Is socialism still the big scary word that becomes like the Manchurian Candidate, and you guys all start shaking?
The biggest fear. Wow, this has turned. The biggest fear is that the Democrats are going to run through anything they want to do, and
I know, but let's say they have their way. What is the big fear?
Yeah,
you would say as a
socialism.
conservative.
absolutely,
That's
and it's,
that's the number one concern.
well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, because I mean, you have to admit, you have people in your party who are absolutely fucking crazy. AOC is out of her goddamn mind. And not to mention, she's unbelievably stupid. There's nobody dumber than she is.
I will admit.
She
I'm not
absolutely
in love
says
with her.
the dumbest crap in the world. Let's see. Your VP is the most liberal senator ever.
Ever?
Yeah, it's on record. They've asked her. CNN's even asked her that, and she's like, "Oh well, things are different." And her cackle, Jesus Christ, she sounds like the Joker. I wish I had like a little soundbar, which we'll get one that I can play sounds. But dude, her cackle is. But no, yeah, it's absolutely socialism. Like we're gonna, and it's gonna be big tech socialism. Medicare for all or healthcare is not a right.
Is it a Democrat women thing? Because Hillary Clinton also had a bad.
Oh,
cackle.
dude, her voice makes you
Is
want to
this
like
a thing?
punch children.
Like, what is it with the cackle? Is this a thing that is only exclusive to our party? What is it with them in their life?
Well, I mean, we're Republicans, so we don't let women hold seats of power. So, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know. I've never heard a woman laugh in our party because A, we hold them down, and B, we're not funny. So, I mean, there's no laughing in our party. There's no laughing. There's no crying. There's nothing. We're just straight. We don't have any emotions, and I think that's
Do you
yeah.
think that capital? Because okay, we can both agree the economy's bad, unemployment is bad. Granted, we can say it's mainly because of COVID. We've had lockdown. This isn't. Here's the thing, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Capitalist nation. Oh, okay, thanks, man. I think you're a racist and a sexist, and I'm gonna call the police.
I absolutely am. Like I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not hiding
Yeah.
behind any of this.
I'm gonna like totally call the police, and then you're a Nazi as well, Dutch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I live in a rich county, so the police are on my side here. We don't have black
well-
people here or minorities,
we'll
unless
see
they're
about
mowing
that.
the lawn or something like that.
Oh man. Wow, Dutch. All right, man. I will.
I
Say,
mean,
you tell
I
me I'm
figure
wrong,
if
though.
you guys are gonna hate me, I need to give you something to actually hate me for. And I'll actually feel that way, kind of. But we can talk about that more in detail later. But go ahead with your question.
Okay, so in a capitalist market, of course, we have boom and bust. So one sector of the industry gets really hot, a bubble bursts, it crashes, and then it picks up steam again. That's how we have recessions. So we have a boom and bust cycle. That just comes with capitalism, right? More or less, you have a boom and bust cycle. That's how we have recessions. I'd say every 4 to 7 years is going to be some recession, and it's usually natural. An industry gets big.
It can never be natural though, because the government sticks their big goddamn nose in everything.
I know. Okay, but I'm saying like in a capitalist society, that is part of the downside of it. Is that it's by flow. You rise a tide.
It's funny you said
get
every
rich.
4 to 7 years, because that's kind of when the presidency changes parties. So every
That's true,
4 to
but I mean,
7 years, the
historically-
Democrats show up and the economy goes, "Pew!" and then the
disagree with
Republicans
that.
come back and it.
Well, let me ask you something, Dutch. If we're gonna go off of that, it's not part of my question, but I still remember it was H.W. Bush in the '90s, bad recession. Clinton takes over, good economy. Bush takes over, horrible economy. Obama takes over, economy rebounds. Trump takes over, economy.
Best
goes
economy
to
we've ever seen in the history of the United States.
until COVID totally fucked it up.
Oh yeah,
Just
until
going
the
to my
government
question.
conspiracy kicked in and that happened.
Okay, but here's my question. Do you think that, listen, we agree there's millions who are unemployed, there's homelessness, there's poverty, income gap, and all that stuff. Do you think that capitalism, to an extent, has failed people to believing that socialism is the answer? Do you think that it was...
Wait, what? Capitalism is done.
No. Do you think it is the private sector be all end all, the major corporations? Do you think that the anger should be more towards them, or do you think it should be more towards the government? For
It's
those who feel
absolutely
like
towards the government.
that capitalism has failed me and that everyone's poor,
No,
we need socialism.
okay, first of all, capitalism doesn't fail you. You fail capitalism. Okay, you're a fucking
okay, so
adult.
explain this.
Get your
That's
shit
my,
together.
That's my question.
Okay,
What's your
yeah,
outlook
you're an
on this?
adult. Get your shit together. That's it. Everybody has equal opportunity in this country. Okay? It's not my fault you were born stupid. And if you were born stupid, you are entitled to a life of what comes with stupid. And I know stupid sounds brash, but again, if you're 45 flipping burgers at McDonald's, you're stupid. Or you like that lifestyle, which you're stupid. Okay? It's not the government's responsibility to pay you $15 an hour. Because again, if you understand anything about how an economy works, not an economy, how shit works, is if you pay someone working at McDonald's $15 an hour, you pay them all $15 an hour, the cheeseburger, instead of being $3, is now going to be $9. Okay? So the value of money is what you should be concerned about, not how much you make. It's that value, okay? If you make $50 million a year, but a loaf of bread costs $9,000, you don't make that much money. It's the value of money that you should be concerned with. And we pay people based on the value of money. So, I don't believe in minimum wage. I think the market should set minimum wage. And now you're going to have to backtrack a little bit and say, okay, look, there's no minimum wage. So I'm going to pay you $1 to flip a burger. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. If nobody wants to do that, then I'm going to have to raise my price. I'll pay you $2. No, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. So now I'm going to pay you $3. 50 million people want to make $3 an hour flipping burgers. But your house costs $10 billion. No one can buy a house. We're going to need to lower the price of houses. We don't need to pay people more, dipshits. Because again, if you just pay people more, the value is lost. That's how an economy works. That's how money works. That's how life works. It's about value. It's not about an actual number. We could make our currency irrelevant and go down to $1 is now worth $1 million. So a $1 bill can buy you a house. The only difference is people would have a fuckload more pennies. Okay, and the minimum wage would be, a tenth of a cent. The number doesn't matter. It's the value. Okay, so I got 3 guys it takes to make 1 hamburger, and I got to pay them this. I got to blah, 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 blah. This hamburger is X dollars. That's how you figure out the price of a hamburger. And it's X dollars because the other 2 guys can afford it through the drive-thru. Now, if the hamburger is $100, then yeah, you can afford to pay people more. But it costs more, so they need to make more. And it's an endless cycle. So you get paid for your value. And the key to getting out of this is, unfortunately, education, which you don't always need, but you don't probably go to college and get an education. Because for some reason, we pay you more if you go to college.
Well, for those who don't know, Dutch, you did go to college.
Yeah, everybody did.
Right. Well, okay, and what was your major? Just curious.
Classical literature.
Okay, and I went to college too, and same thing, English. Try to be a school teacher. Was college worth it for you? Will you say you're
Absolutely not.
Where you are now because of college?
No, I don't use my degrees at all. I work in the construction field.
Okay. Cool. Just to give context.
But I also think that, college is a really important step because it's the first time you're on your own, and it's not necessarily what you learn at college, but you're proving to your future employer that for 4 years you got your ass out of bed and you went to school and you made good enough grades to graduate from school. So that can translate into real life. So for the rest of your fucking life, you'll get your ass out of bed and you'll go do your job right. And you don't have mom and dad over there saying, "Oh, well, little Johnny, you got to get up for your math test today." It's personal responsibility is basically college.
Here's how I'm leading with this, though. 2 things. Here's number 1. Do you think the overemphasis of college, where you have to get a college degree to get that high-paying job, do you think that has played a factor in how prices or salaries need to be raised? I got all this college debt. I had to do it to get a job in the private sector. They won't even look at my resume if I don't have a degree. I have all this college debt, and now I need more money because I cannot live off of it.
See, and that's what
you think the overemphasis of college kind of plays a role in that too?
No, I think. Okay, first of all, college costs too much, and the reason it is because that employers have monopolized that and said, "Hey, you need a college degree," and people, the colleges said, "Okay, we'll just charge whatever the fuck we want. You need this. You have to pay us," and that's just the way that it's going to work. When in all actuality, that's not the way that it's going to work. Stop getting useless college degrees. I'm sorry, but an art history major for $500,000, you're fucking stupid. Okay, a theater degree, you're fucking stupid. Get an actual, and I'm just preaching here because I did the same thing. I got a useless degree, but I was an adult and I went out and I made a living outside of my degree because it can be done. So stop getting dumb degrees. Get a degree in biology, be a doctor. Get a degree in criminal justice and go to grad school and be a lawyer. Okay, get a degree in engineering and go be an engineer. A theater major, you're dumb. Theater is a hobby, and for those of you who don't know, Kyle is into theater, movies, film, and he might do well in it, but it's a very niche market.
So
yeah, yeah, not after this
my
one.
chances, man.
We just Titanic your whole career. But
Damn, son.
it's like the NFL, man. You're not going to be a famous actor. You're not going to be what's his face, Matthew, the Lincoln nerd, who doesn't wear a shirt. Yeah. Okay, you're not going to be him. The guy got lucky. Okay, yeah, he's a good actor. Okay. Steve McQueen was a badass. You're not Steve McQueen. I don't care how much college you go to. You will never be that awesome. So do not, go get an actual degree as an engineer. Okay? Be an engineer, make money, contribute to society. And in the side, act, write, do things, do the arts. And then if you find out that you have a very, very special niche for this, go be an actor. Do not spend $500,000 to be a fucking actor. Nobody gets a degree in playing in the NFL. And then when they're done with college, you're like, oh shit, that really didn't work out. Why am I not in the NFL? Because you're fucking stupid, man.
Didn't J.J. Watt major in how to sack the quarterback? Didn't he do that for 4 years?
No, dude. He did not. Okay.
He got a major. There's a whole college course.
Does he have? How many Super Bowls does he have?
I'm just
and
joking.
he's,
I got
again,
no idea.
you do the math. There's, 55 guys on an NFL team, 30 teams, 32 teams. What is that, like 1,600 players? 1,600 people out of, what do we got, 8 billion people in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a good ratio for you. I'm sorry. You're not going to make it to the NFL. You're not going to be on Broadway. You're not going to be in the movies. You're not going to do any of this stuff. So get an education to supplement your dreams. That's what it's for. Work is not fun.
Yes. And I've always said that. Listen, like I wanted to, so I got an English degree, which would have been useless if it wasn't for the teaching credentials.
Yeah, you're a
I knew
teacher.
I want to be a teacher. That was my path. I also want to be a screenwriter, but I realized if I had majored in that, who knows where I'd be right now. You have to get a degree in something that's going to support your life to also support your hobby. I've always said this. If you want to be a rapper, if you want to be an artist, whatever, go for it to the extent that you can afford it. To the extent that you can afford. You have to have...
That you can afford it. Not that the government can help you afford or that mommy and dad, that you can afford. That's what we need to do is what you can afford. And the government, it's not the government's job to take care of you. And yes, I know there is welfare and some people have a bad shake at life.
And the military. We need to have a military. That's the government's job.
Oh, yeah, you can join the military.
Gotta have the military. No, I mean, we need, as far as protecting...
Oh, no, if we want to get into what the government... I think the government should protect me from foreign evils and stay the fuck out of my life. But other than that... I honestly don't give a shit what they do as long as it doesn't cost me any money. I'm tired of paying for other people. And like I said, if you grew up in poverty, I'm sorry. You just need to work harder. It's just the way that it works. Life isn't fair. It's actually kind of shitty. Like, you work for how many years? 40, 50 years to retire for 20 and then die? It's not fair. It's just the way that shit works. Okay? I mean, I can't help you. Fall in line. Stop asking for handouts. Stop having the government be like, oh, yeah, here's your little welfare. Again, the stimulus checks, I don't think you guys should get a dime. I don't think anybody should get one fucking single penny. I think you should open up the economy.
So let me ask you this. If you say that we should just gut the welfare and gut the food stamps, all that, I've also said, listen, at the very top, every bailout that we've ever had, doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican in office, a bailout is the exact same thing. It is, you are taking trillions of dollars from these people over here, the taxpayers, whether they want to or not, you don't have a choice. And we are going to redistribute that money to these people over here, deservingly or undeservingly so. That also has to end. And this is what a lot of people don't understand, is that is also a form of socialism. We've had socialism in this country for decades. It's just always only been for the very, very poor, welfare, food stamps, and the very, very rich, which is bailouts, and the middle gets nothing. If you're middle class, you got to pay for the rich people's tax cuts. You got to pay for the poor people's welfare. You got to support your own family, and what little you have left has to go to your taxes. And that's the problem, is that the middle in this country, the middle class has just been fucked for, I'd say, at least 30, 40 years. Because we already have socialism for the super poor and the super rich. That's my outlook.
Okay, so it's not socialism for the super rich, because we're not like redistributing rich people's money to give to other rich people. What we're doing is the rich pay a disproportional amount of taxes in this country. And I think that's wrong. I think everybody should pay their fair share.
Fair tax. Right?
20% across the board.
Yes, just 20%. I don't care if you work McDonald's. I don't care if you're
right. Everybody,
Jeff Bezos.
because everybody needs, and let me explain this to somebody real quick in case you don't understand this. If the government takes taxes out of your paycheck and your total at the end of the year is $5,000 taken out, and you get a $5,000 refund, you paid no taxes, dipshit. Yes, you paid them, but they gave it back to you. You paid no taxes, you fucking retard. So don't say, oh, half this country pays no taxes. All right, and we'll get into this, and it'll be a long, drawn out. We'll continue this, but it's just social programs. I agree with to an extent, but welfare is not a job. It's not a life choice. It's, if you're down on your luck, yes, I am more than happy to help you for 6 months. But if you can't find a paying job to sustain yourself in 6 months, lower your expectations. Okay.
Now granted, this is outside of COVID, right? Because the whole state's locked. You're talking about normal situations.
Yeah, well, I don't agree. I don't think we should have shut the economy down for COVID.
But but I mean, people can't get jobs right now because the state's on lockdown, and now they lost their job.
So fight back.
That's not their fault.
Okay,
it's not
but
the people's fault.
It is the people's fault because people have just sat there and, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you have bent over, you have grabbed your ankles, and you have let your government fuck you in the ass. Because you know what? Some of you are making double what you used to make at fucking McDonald's because you're getting an extra $600 a week on top of your $300 unemployment check. So now you make $1,000 a week when you were used to making $450. Well, of course, fuck yeah, I'd love to be on COVID. But there are some of us that haven't got a single stimulus check, not a single dollar during COVID. A, because we're essential workers, and B, we planned ahead. And if we didn't plan ahead, we have enough credit, we have enough savings, we have enough things to take care of ourselves like adults.
Let me ask you, have you been working during this time? Are you essential with the construction right now?
I am essential, but Kyle, if you don't remember, I
remember, but you are essential.
Oh yeah, background information. I am essential, so we were working through all of COVID, but in August I tore my Achilles tendon, so I've been MIA. But yeah, no, we have been. But me building a restaurant that can't be used is not essential. So what? Fight back, people. You have these government overlords who are like, hey, man, you need to stay home for Thanksgiving while I go to fucking Aruba for a month. Okay? Stop being a little bitch and stand up. There are more of us than there are of them. So we all need to band together and stand up. Restaurant owners, open up. Because I promise you, your patrons will stand up for you. They will bar the door from the little health inspector faggot. I didn't mean to say the F word. The little health inspector bitch. And there's more of us. Again, there's more of us than them. So open back up. Quit screwing around and just tell these guys, fuck you. To quote Rage Against the Machine, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Quit being a little bitch. Take off your mask. Again, does your mask ever fog up your sunglasses or your glasses? Oh, it does? Think about that. If your mask fogs up your glasses, think about that. It's not protecting you from shit, you fucking retard. All the air is still getting around all the sides. Instead of just going straight out, it's going this way. And if you have a beard, a little one like I do, I had to shave. It got kind of... Okay, you think that's an airtight seal around here? No. The air, the germs, it's all getting out. You're stupid. Quit wearing a mask. Go to your restaurants. COVID is dangerous for old people and people with comorbidities. Just like the flu, just like everything. Good God, you guys are sheep.
Going off of that, I just have two more things to bring up.
You got to make them quick. Everybody's really sleepy. Quick. This is boring.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, buddy.
Two things. When you talk to your conservative friends, Republican, I'm just curious, what are some things you would like the Democrat Party to do to be somewhat fixed? That's
Hang
number
themselves.
one. But beyond that, what are some things you think they could really need to fix? And two, Trump moving forward. Do you want to see him again in 2024? Do you think
No.
he will? Who is the new leader of the Republican Party? You think it's Romney? Who do you think?
Okay, the Democrats. I don't want to see anything out of them. It's again,
Nothing
it's
they can fix?
no, it's a fundamental difference of beliefs, and until you change your fundamental beliefs, I'll never agree.
Well, tell us where to start. You want identity
No.
politics?
No,
Do
if
want
you-
economics.
If you
what's the
change your
starting point?
fundamental beliefs, then you're a conservative. So and that's the glory of this country is, I mean, we need more than two parties, but I have nothing to tell you guys to do to change. I think
Okay.
I want you to continue to be batshit crazy because it's going to burn you in the ass. And I can't wait for it. The only problem is once it burns you in the ass, the Republicans have nothing. They'll just be like, well, shit, we're all fucked. So yeah. As for Trump, no, I don't want to ever see him again.
Who's the new leader of the Republican Party?
I don't know.
Is it Romney?
Nobody.
Is it
Nobody. Me.
you? You should run for office. You
I
never know.
can't. Extensive criminal history.
Oh, I forgot. You're not over 35 yet. That's right.
I actually am now. Just recently, like a month over 35.
That's right. Happy birthday, man. That was back in January. Congrats. Man.
No, it wasn't in January. You don't even know when my birthday
December. I meant December.
is. Yeah, no, yeah, there is no leadership. I don't want Trump back. I would have loved him back a month ago. And at what he's done to just be a dickhead in all of this. All right. That I did not mean that to be all politics, but I thought it was interesting, and I hope you guys got something out of this. If you didn't, you're probably stupid. Or
Well, next topics, dude. Let's do some sports. Let's do some video games, some movies. What do you have going on? Let me ask you for your future guest or your future show. What are you leaning on?
We're just gonna talk about whatever I feel like talking about that day. I would like to get things I'm interested in. Not all politics. Some of it's dry for some people. Some of it's, some of it they really like. I'm a talk radio guy, so I listen to politics all day, every day. I'm done with sports, so those idiots with their protesting and that garbage, I don't give a shit about that. So yeah, we'll do some that's just solo me. We'll do some with guests like you, and we will, we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys listen. I hope you share it with your friends, and I hope you guys find us on YouTube. We're the Dutch in Denver podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Dutch the Beast. Double D's Podcast 1 on Twitter too. We have 2 Twitter handles. I don't think Blip's on Twitter. Are
I don't
you?
have anything. I have nothing. I just have a YouTube, but that's mainly more from me. But
Yeah.
if they want to reach out to me, got any fans of me, they can just talk to you first.
Yeah, you can
So-
email him at Kyle the Man, I think, at gmail.com.
Hilarious. Let me hold you to a standard. When's going to be your next show? Give an actual date, nerd. What's your next dated show?
I don't
It's a
know.
weekly thing?
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try 2 times a week, and if you guys like it
Good.
more, I'll do it every day if you want. Again, I have an Achilles injury. I'm gonna have a nerve graft. I'm gonna be laid up for a while. I can do this every day as long as we have stuff to talk about. The production value will get better. We'll have a better background. It's clear to me, but not you. Probably cheap webcam. We'll have a producer that can feed us information. We'll get all this going, but I'm not trying to dump a buttload into money of me just talking for an hour and no one paying attention. So if you guys want to interact, Twitter's the best place to start. Eventually, we'll have a phone. You guys can call in, leave messages. We'll respond. We are going to do moments of Biden. We're going to try and make it interactive, but you guys aren't going to run the show. It is my podcast. I'm going to run the show, and you're just going to be a useful participant.
And you know what? In the future, let me give you a suggestion, man. If there's any Xbox fans out there, if you want to have like a group party once with fans in the future, we're avid video gamers.
We won't do a group thing because we'll have like 17 million people talking over each other. I'm much more famous on Xbox than I am on this.
Oh, wow. There you
But
go.
yeah, we can shoot in. Maybe we'll do like a live Discord where you guys can like type questions, or we might even stream some games one time, and
That's
we'll
fun.
just run through the chat. But hey, I appreciate you guys being here today, and tune into the next one. I don't know where it's going to lead us, and I want to thank Kyle for being with us today.
You're welcome, man.
Fantastic.
It was great. Glad to be here. Let's do it again sometime.
Later, guys.
See ya.
All right, Kyle. So that was
Had a good flow.